are getting ready to chit chat about private practice life. If this is your first time catching one of my live videos, my name is Cavalyn Day. I am a coach for therapists that want to create 5 and 6 figure corporate consulting contracts, that want to create a profitable private practice that serves your life, serves your community. And we're talking today about what that looks like in 2025 and beyond. And I was prompted by to have this conversation because there was a post on TikTok where someone was talking about somebody check on a therapist. They're like, are the therapists okay? Because there's just really so much going on right now that is creating stress and turmoil and hardships for therapists. And so one of the things that, I think the person who posted, and I don't really know who the person is, but the person who posted it was just kind of saying like, man, it's a hard time to be a therapist right now. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But I was also kind of thinking, because I was having a couple of different conversations with people this week. So, in my work, part of what I do is I provide products and services that help therapists do private practice better. And by better, I mean having more profit, having more peace, having more freedom and flexibility so that private practice doesn't feel so hard. It's a challenging job, really, especially in today's market. While it is very easy to start a private practice, is what I always say, it's very easy to start one. It's not always as easy to do it well. And we don't get any training on that in therapy, in graduate school, right? You don't get a lot of training on how to become a private practice owner. You do typically get training on you get your training on how to support your clients. You get your training on how to do a good assessment. You get your training on how to serve them well, which is a part of business, right? Like doing a good service is a part of business, but it's not the part of business that typically gets you the payment that you want. So a lot of people in private practice right now are struggling. And there's a couple areas where I see them struggling. Number one, I see them struggling to get clients in the door. So if you're a therapist who has started your practice, and I would say like in the last 3 to 5 years, certainly if you started in the last year, there's a good chance that you're probably having a hard time getting clients in the door. We'll talk a little bit about that today. But even if you've been in business for a long time, it can be challenging right now. So my background is in school counseling. I'm a school counselor by trade. Went back to school and got my master's. I had a career path for that, so I went back into school and got my master's degree and worked as a school counselor. Then ultimately started working as a coach and a home-based therapist for families that were impacted by the Department of Child and Family Services. And that's about the time that I really started like really building my business. And my sister is a therapist. She is a licensed clinical addictions counselor and a licensed mental health counselor here in the state of Indiana, where we are. And at that time, when she started her business, she was working and she had a couple different people working in kind of the administrative side. The practice blew up. It started to grow really significantly. And so I came along and started doing the consulting work there and director of operations. And so we are a practice that has somewhere between 10 and 15 clinicians at any given time. Thank you for everybody who's joining. Make sure that you are following me if you are a therapist who wants to grow your practice, okay? If you are in private practice, considering private practice, want to be a therapist, make sure that you're following me so that you can stay connected. So, just to start her practice, I came alongside and started doing director of operations, expanded the practice. We are now a practice that has provided over 20,000 counseling sessions to date. We are a primarily African American practice as well. So that's what all of our clinicians are currently African American. Not that we wouldn't hire somebody who's not, but that is where we are right now. And we serve all people across all communities. We have collaborations and partnerships and contracts with schools and youth serving organizations and medical facilities and corporations across the board, nonprofits across the board. And it's a really great way to do a practice. And so there's a lot of people that sometimes just will ask us questions because it's like, hey, how are you guys doing what you do? And can you show me how to do it? So I thought, let's have a conversation about what it means to be in private practice in 2025 and how to do it well. Like I said, one of the problems that a lot of people are having in 2025 as a therapist who's in private practice is getting enough clients in the door. There's a lot more competition to get clients in the door. First and foremost, anybody can throw up a website. Anybody can throw up a website and say like, "Hey, I'm a therapist." Once you're licensed, and even we even have people who are like associate licensed, so they're not even fully licensed; they're being supervised, getting their practices started, and that is a great thing. And so once they get started, you put the website up, you got the NPI, you get in network with the insurance companies, and you think, great, I'm getting ready to have this amazing career. I'm about to blow up. And what ends up happening a lot of times is you open the doors, but the clients don't come running in. So if you're a brand new therapist and you have had your practice for, under 5 years and you do not have a full caseload, or you're having a hard time keeping your caseload full, you're not crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. We're going to talk about some things that you can do, but it is actually really, really common for you to have a hard time. So that's one of the things. One of the other things, and I was just talking to somebody this week who was talking about um, having a challenge with, keeping staff around. If you want to have a group practice, keeping staff around and making sure that they're happy. Because the biggest challenge that's going on right now is what I'm calling the infiltration of the mental health industry by a lot of the tech companies. So if you're a therapist, you probably already have figured out that some of your better helps and your talk spaces and some of these different app-based mental health agencies are really tech companies. They are tech companies that are backed by venture capitalists, and their primary focus, so there's like a conglomerate. It's not, a therapist who decided to open a business. It is a business owner who decided to open a practice and brought in therapists to help them do that, which I'm not going to say that that's right or wrong, but I am going to say that because they have such a technology base, it makes it harder for what I'm going to call like the mom and pop private practice to survive, because they are spending thousands and thousands of dollars to market their practice, to market the business. And they have a business model that is really designed to crush small, independent, private practices. If you didn't know that, I hate to be the one to kind of be the bearer of bad news, but that is the reality. They have a business model that is designed to really crush you. And part of what that is they recognize that if they can operate at a loss for a short period of time, they can really make sure that there's very limited competition. There's not a lot of people who can compete with them. And when that happens, for you, the challenge is that you're going to have a harder time trying to keep your business operational, trying to keep your business functional. And so I have noticed that a lot of people are having a hard time with that. So in 2025, if you are a therapist, a coach, a counselor, a social worker, a psychologist who wants to grow a practice, here's some of the things that we want to make sure that you're focused on, right? First and foremost, I want you to focus on how you are getting clients in the door. It used to be you open your practice, you get in network with your, one or two insurance panels, you throw up your little shingle, and you're good to go. The clients are going to start coming in. That's the way it used to be. And if you were really fancy, you were going to go out there and get a Psychology Today profile. And you could pretty much guarantee that Psychology Today was going to get you anywhere between sometimes 3 to 5 or more referrals coming in every single week. And so it would not be hard at all to fill your caseload in a really short period of time. Unfortunately, that's not the case anymore. So I've seen a lot of therapists say like, hey, look, I have had my Psychology Today for 6 months. I'm getting like 1 or 2 referrals a month, and they're not even good referrals. What are people doing to fill their caseloads? How can I get more clients in the door as a therapist? How can I make sure that my clients that I want to help, that I know I can help? And that's the frustrating part. Like, you can help them. How can I get more of them in the door? So if you're a therapist who is either wanting to start a private practice or who has started a private practice in the last 3 to 5 years, and you're really noticing that it's been harder than you anticipated to get more clients in the door, you are not at all crazy. You are not wrong. It is absolutely happening over and over again. Okay. So first thing I want you to do is focus on just that. And I have a product that I can share with you guys. If anybody's interested, just comment 5 and I'll make sure that I send you the link to it. I have a product called the 5 Minute Marketing System that I wrote specifically for therapists who are looking to get more clients. And this really tells you what are the actions that you need to do. When you're talking about getting more clients in the door, what you're really talking about is how am I marketing my private practice? How am I growing my private practice? How am I making sure that more people can see my private practice every single day? More people can say, like, oh, yeah, that's what I've been looking for. How can I let them know that I'm the therapist for them? How can I make it clear to them that I know what I'm talking about? I know how to help them feel better. I know how to use the right therapeutic techniques. I'm going to be professional and that they can come in and have a great experience with me. That is marketing. And there was a time when therapists really didn't have to do a lot of marketing. You, like I said, you get that Psychology Today profile, you get on network with the insurance panels. You probably got some business cards. You probably did get some business cards, and you might have got a flyer or a brochure or something to drop off at a couple doctor's offices. But that was it. You could do that. And typically within about 3 to 6 months, you would be fully booked and you would be able to have a steady stream of referrals coming in and be really consistent. That was a very common thing. I would say 8 or 9 years ago. And really, if you came in at the 5 year, like 5 years ago, you probably came in during the gold rush of 2020 when everybody wanted to open up a private practice, right? Everybody wanted a private practice because, hey, I can start a virtual practice, which means I don't have to put up a shingle. I don't have to get furniture. I don't have to sign a lease. I can literally just say, hey, I'm a therapist and I want to help you, and put up my profiles online and start up my website, and you could have your practice up and running in a day. And because at that time, a lot of insurance companies were pushing through people, letting people quickly and easily get on panel with them. And a lot of insurance companies at that time were also waiving copays and waiving deductibles and waiving co-insurance. So people could basically come into therapy for free. They didn't have to pay for it, and it was no money out of their pocket. So that was a lot of people's experience. And so that was 2020. And I would say it probably went on to like 2023, maybe 2024. But if you've been a therapist since then, between 2020, 23, 24, and certainly in 2025, you know that that's not the case. Insurance companies have flip flopped. And so now the deductibles are higher, the co insurance is higher, the co pays are higher. And they're also making it harder for people to get on panel. So it's not uncommon right now for an insurance company to say, hey, we don't need anybody in your area. We got more than enough therapists. And you think about it, you're like, it's crazy because therapists are like, wait a minute, why can't I get in network? I'm here, I'm qualified, I'm licensed. Why can I not become a therapist in private practice and get in network with this insurance company? And they're saying, we have too many therapists in your zip code. And y'all know what that's about, right? Y'all know what that's about. They don't want more therapists in the zip code because they don't want people to use the therapy. So they are making it more difficult for people to get in network. So they're making it more difficult for you to get in network. They're making it more difficult for them to access care, which means that that has slowed down the inquiries and the interest in people getting into therapy. Now, here's the thing. Our practice, like I said, we have between 10 and 15 therapists most of the time, depending on how many interns we have and things like that. But not only have we done over 20,000 sessions in our 14 years of being in business, but we probably have somewhere between 100 and 200 inquiries on average each month, which means that we have 100 to 200 people who are sending us emails, reaching out through Psychology Today, calling our office line and saying, hey, will you be my therapist? So we have kept that steady stream of referrals coming in. So I'm going to tell you some of the things that we do, which is the same things that I've got in our in the 5 Minute Marketing Plan. So first and foremost, we are very clear who we are here for. When you've ever heard the term, you need to niche down as a therapist. I know you're probably tired of hearing it, but you absolutely need to niche down. And that doesn't mean that you can't help everyone. You can help anyone that you want to help. But in order to make yourself stand out as a therapist, what you want to do is make sure that you are crystal clear on who is your perfect 10 This is the top of the line person that I want to work with. You have got to make sure that that is what you are doing. And when you do that, when you're crystal clear of who you want to help and who you want to serve and who you want to provide care to, then that's who you're going to speak to as a therapist who is using social media, your blog, LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever social platform that you're using. I'm also live streaming here on YouTube. So whatever platform you're going to use, you just want to be really clear who you're talking to. I am a coach who works with therapists who are in private practice or who are aspiring to private practice. That's who I am. It's very specific. I typically work with people who are somewhere in that 0 to 5 year mark of having started a practice. They probably have some clientele that are already coming in, but they want more. A big subsect of the people that I work with are people who want to branch out into being a group practice or who want to branch out into corporate consulting and sign those 10-figure and those 5-figure and 6-figure contracts. That's a big part of the people that I work with. A lot of my clients want to do like speaking, teaching, training, have digital products, have print products, those types of things. So those are the things that I can help people with. I know that, right? Basically, people who are in that sweet spot of somewhere between 3 to 5 years in private practice or sometimes a little bit lower than that, who know I want to do a little bit more. I want my private practice to not just be one-on-one therapy. I want to have some other stream of revenue and income coming into my practice, helping me to have not only the biggest amount of impact, but also the biggest amount of income. Those are the people that I help. If you ask me who I help, I know exactly who I help, and I know exactly what I help them do. So you as a therapist who are marketing, meaning that you are showing people how you can help them, have to know how you can help them. And you need to be able to articulate that and communicate that in an effective way. So for example, if it used to be like, well, I work with anxiety and depression. Okay, it's not enough to say that anymore. You can't just say I work with anxiety and depression. You have to be able to clarify who the person is that has anxiety and depression, or how the anxiety or depression is impacting their lives, how you particularly serve them. So I might say something like, I help people who have anxiety that is preventing them from getting back into the dating pool. I help people who have anxiety that is preventing them from getting going for that promotion at work. I have people who have anxiety that are aspiring to professional careers and are being held back. Those kind of things, right? You want to clarify who is the specific person and what is the specific problem that they have. And I don't want you to just pull this from the sky, but you probably already have some people that you've worked with, or you have in some instances, you've had this experience in your background. Like you can say like, hey, I was that person that had this type of anxiety. I was the person whose anxiety kept them up at night. I was the person whose anxiety interfered with her relationship. So you might have had that experience, or you've already helped somebody who's had that experience. So you want to make that crystal clear in everything that you are saying to your clients. So you're saying, okay, Carolyn, great, but where am I saying it? And you can say it everywhere. That's the key. I want you saying it everywhere. If you Google right now, go online, don't leave the live stream, but if you Google right now your zip code wherever you live plus counseling or therapy or mental health or anything like that, 9 times out of 10, the first thing that's going to come up is an AI generated response of some sort. And then the next thing that's going to come up is one of those apps that we talked about, because they are spending tens of thousands of dollars every single month to be the first thing that comes up. And then the next thing that's going to come up is either someone who's been in business for about 8 to 10 years, sometimes a little bit less than that, maybe in that 6 or 7 year range, that has a website that has been getting hits for years and years and years. So they have tons of SEO on their website. Those are the things that are going to come up if you Google your zip code and your counseling and mental health therapy, what have you. And most people, they are talking about doing SEO. So here's how I feel about SEO. I'm not going to tell you that SEO is dead, but I'm going to tell you she on life support. Okay? And here's why. I can go into ChatGPT today and tell ChatGPT to make me 27 blogs that are keyword optimized around the topic of anxiety for new moms, right? And it'll spit that out in 2.5 minutes. copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste on my website. So if everybody can do that, and everybody has, embedded SEO and keywords in their website like I do, if everybody has SEO, then basically nobody has SEO. So it makes it really challenging to, like, as a brand new site, to get up and running that fast. Because again, there's been other sites in your community. Those sites have been there for a long time. They've already been keyword optimized. So SEO is on life support. So you're saying, great, so then how do I break through? Well, part of how you break through is make sure that you're driving traffic to your website. You want to be driving traffic to your website as often as you possibly can, because the more clicks that your website gets and the longer that people sit on that website, the more likely it is to go up on the ranking. So yes, it's important for you to have a beautiful website that speaks to your target audience, but it's also important for you to have a way to drive traffic to your website. That's why my 5-minute marketing system is so beneficial for new therapists, because it gives you over 40 different things that you can do on and offline to drive traffic to your website. And if you're like me and you believe in having digital products or other ways that you can make money, which as a therapist, if you have questions about how to make other streams of income as a therapist, make sure you drop a comment and I will definitely talk to you about that. But if you have those other ways of generating additional income as a therapist, you could also be getting money from those things while you're waiting on the people to book. Okay. And the benefit of that is A, it helps people to get to know, like, and trust you. But B, it also allows you to generate a little bit of income so that if you choose to, you can pay for some ads, and that will plump up your appeal and your reach to people. But the idea is you want to be doing things to drive traffic to your website. So what are some of the things that I do to drive traffic to my website? A, I'm on live stream, right? So I haven't done this in a while, but I used to do it all the time. Getting on live stream or any type of social media platform, right? Whether I'm in Facebook groups or on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram. I'm definitely on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is, to me, the most underutilized resource in terms of driving traffic to your website, but also in terms of attaching you to the topic that you want to be of interest. LinkedIn has great built-in SEO. If you Google your name and you have a LinkedIn page, 9 times out of 10, your LinkedIn page is going to be one of the first things that pops up, because it is automatically just filled with keywords and it's very well indexed by Google. Being indexed means that Google can see what's going on and get a clear indication of what's happening on the website. So LinkedIn is very well indexed by Google. So if somebody goes to search your name, even if you don't have a website or you don't have a great presence, and this is especially for people, if you are using like Rula and some of those other directories, but you don't have a website, do me a favor. Make sure that you are creating your LinkedIn profile and keeping your LinkedIn profile updated on a regular basis. What you don't want is the only place that you can show up is on one of those directories. That's what you don't want. Because the directory that you're going to go to, number one, the directory cares about the directory. The directory does not care about you. So they're going to give you a limited space where you can create a profile. You're going to be able to maybe put in your video, put in your picture, put in some about me questions or what have you. Talk a little bit about your specialty as a therapist. Talk a little bit about some of the things that, some of the personal habits that you have. You can optimize your bio to include, links and things like that. But if for some reason they don't immediately click through Psychology Today to get to your website or to get to schedule with you, they have access to all the other thousands and thousands of therapists on that profile, right? So you want to make sure that if they happen to see your name somewhere and decide they want to look at, like, how can I book with her or how can I get in contact with her, you always want to have your LinkedIn also updated so that they can get more information about you on your LinkedIn. LinkedIn is great for making direct contacts if you want to have those corporate contracts that we talked about. So if you're a therapist who says, I want to sign 10-figure six figure, I keep saying 10 figure. Do I want to sign a 10-figure contract? Well, if I'm a therapist that wants to sign, $10,000 to $100,000 contracts, I want to have those high 5 and 6 figure contracts. If that's me, I want to make sure that the people that got 5 or 6 figures know who I am. Hello. I want to make sure that they know who I am. So when you're posting on LinkedIn, that is a way for you to get in front of the eyes and ears of the people who have the potential to hire you, either as a consultant, speaker, or trainer, or as their individual therapist, right? Think about it. Most of the people that are on LinkedIn got a job. Most of the people that are on LinkedIn have insurance. Most of the people that are on LinkedIn have careers where they have high stress, where they might have high stress, or they have, professional goals. Most of the people that are on LinkedIn are in some capacity your ideal client. So if you're tired of using some of the other social media platforms, or you're not seeing as much benefit as a therapist because you're like, hey, I want something that feels a little bit more professional, or I don't want to be dancing on TikTok, or whatever the case may be, LinkedIn may be the place for you. On LinkedIn, you want to do a couple of things. You want to make sure that your bio is optimized so that it is really clear who you are and who you help. So remember that. A bio that shows who you are and who you help. And if you can talk a little bit about how and kind of drive some traffic that direction. So let's say my bio says that I help therapists and coaches show up and be seen and sign high ticket, high value clients, right? That's what my bio is about. And when you include other links around your bio, you can send people to the directions they want to go. Okay. So as you send them to those directions that you want to go, at least one of those should be your website. At least one of those should be a way for them to either purchase something with you, schedule with you, or connect with you on your email list so that you can then market to them on your email list. Okay. And so that's part of the process of creating this system that allows you to market to your clients. The current research is that people need to see you as the solution to their problem, and they need to see and hear from you about 21 times. So I want you to stop and think. If you're a therapist who is saying, I need more clients, I want to make more money, I want to have a bigger impact in my community, but you are saying, I don't have enough clients, I don't have $1,000 to spend on Facebook ads, I don't really know how to make my profile any better. If that is you and you're frustrated because you are a therapist who have done all the work to get your degree and you want to grow your private practice, and you're saying, I don't know how to get more traction, how to get more movement, what I want you to really focus on is how you can be clear that who you are and who you help. And then sending that information, that traffic from wherever you are back to your website. And you also, again, you want to make sure that you have a way for them to connect with you on email. That way you can begin to nurture your audience, and you can say to your audience, hey, here's what we're, this is a solution for this. This is a solution for that. Here's how I help my client with this. Here's the problem that my client came in and said that they had. Here's how we solved it. And you want to do this all in a very HIPAA compliant way, obviously. But when you're trying to grow your practice, one of the things that you want to do is show up and be seen. Okay. So as you're getting more interest into your practice, you want to make sure that this is a good qualified lead. And that's a really important piece. I don't want you getting a bunch of freebie seekers in your practice. Okay. I don't want you to have a bunch of people that are only here for the sliding scale fee. I want you to make sure that you're getting paid. So I want you to get some of your perfect clients, make room for the sliding scales or the low cost sessions as well. But I want you to get your full fee, because I want you to get paid well, and I want you to enjoy your life, and I want you to feel good about it. So part of why you're doing that, how you're going to be able to do that, is making sure that you are screening and vetting your clients. Now, I had a conversation today over the interwebs with some therapists who were mad at me. They were mad at me because I was saying that our practice does not do free consultations. I know some practices still do free consultations, and apparently there's a lot of practices that still do free consultations. But here's the thing I want you to think about. It's time for you to structure your private practice like a business that can sustain you for the rest of your life. If you have a sustainable private practice that has intellectual property and great systems and a wonderful Rolodex and corporate contracts. If you decided tomorrow that you wanted to sell out and you say, hey, I want to be done with this and I want to go off to Costa Rica, then you could sell your practice and move on with your life. Okay. And if that's something that you aspire to do, like maybe you don't, your kids, you want to like do this for 20 years, but you don't want to assume that your kids want to take over your practice at some point and you want to be able to sell it. You want to set your business up so that it has the right business structure. And that is having a marketing system that brings in and generates leads on a consistent basis. So that's one. But the second piece is you want to make sure that once those leads come in, that they have a process to go from being a lead to being a client, if they're the right fit, in a smooth and seamless way. So I don't recommend the consultation because it's super ineffective. When you have a consultation, and most people who are doing them for free, you are spending time and not making money. And that never sits well for me. One of the things I always want to do is disconnect my time from my money, right? So I want to be making money 24/7. I want that money coming in on repeat. I do not want to have to sit up and always trade my time for money. That's not something that I want to do. I want to make sure that my money is coming in on a consistent basis. And so if you are doing as a therapist lots and lots of free consultations or lots and lots of free sessions or lots of free webinars, if you're constantly doing stuff for free, all you're doing is watering down and diluting your profit. If you get 10 sessions a week that are $100 each, you're making $1,000. It's a low wage for a therapist, but let's say that that's what you're working in private practice. So let's say that's what you're doing. So you're making 10 sessions, $100 per session, right? $1,000. All of your overhead, all of your taxes, all of that has to come out of that same $1,000. Now, let's say that you're working as a therapist, you're getting 10 sessions a week, you have $100 for each session, so you're making $1,000. You're putting away 20% for taxes, you're putting away 10% for a little bit of profit. Let's say you're completely virtual, so you don't have a ton of overhead, maybe $50 to $100 for your different EHRs and things like that. So now you're somewhere around $600 is what you're making. Now for some people, $600 is enough. Maybe you got a spouse that's big ball and shot calling, and you say like $600 is good for me as a therapist. Most people, that's not what they want because they also got to pay back student loans. But let's just use that number for fun, right? So if it takes you 10 hours to make $600, you're making approximately $60 an hour. All right. That not bad. $60 an hour for a therapist is very, very reasonable. But if you have now spent 3 hours doing free consultations, you are working 9 hours for $60 an hour. You're working 9 hours for that $600. So let me do my math. That takes you down from making about $60 an hour to about like 52, 54. So do you want to cut your hourly rates because you're doing these free consultations? I don't think you should. So in our practice, what we do is we do a phone screening, right? And our front office does the phone screening because we have a system that they go through, they ask a certain number of questions and they answer those questions, and they can determine what's going to be the right person for them to go to. They can typically get that done in between 5 and 10 minutes and get the client scheduled. Our front office does not make a clinical hourly wage because they're not clinicians, right? If they have any questions, they know when they need to, pass it along the chain of command. But if you are a therapist who is still answering your phones and doing 20 and 30-minute consultations to try and see if you can get one client, I guarantee you're cutting into your profit. It's not the most profitable way to do it. Now, if you say, hey, I really love those consultations, I enjoy them, I don't mind them, do what works for you. But if you are a therapist who says, I want to be more profitable, I want to make sure that I'm making enough money to pay back my student loans, I want to have enough money to put some profit aside, I want to be really clear about how my business is paying me and how my business is growing, and that my business is putting profit to the side and able to invest, right? Because there might be things that you want to be able to do. Every penny counts when it comes to your profit. So it is more profitable for us to train our front office staff to use our screening process and then schedule clients, and then it is for us to expect our therapist to work for free doing consultations. Now, if you're by yourself, you probably are okay with that, right? Because you're just starting out. But if you want to have a group practice, I definitely would encourage you to put in a process for how you screen them using some type of an automated system. We have we are if a client calls our office Monday through Friday between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. our time, they're going to talk to our virtual receptionist, who is a real person, but they take a message. And then our trained staff, who is our front office support team, will return those calls. And they can generally return, 10, 15 calls in an hour, right? If the person doesn't answer the phone, they leave a message and they send an email, and they can follow up that way. If the person does answer, they can typically ask those questions very, very quickly, decide whether or not they're going to be a good fit for our office and who they're going to be a good fit for, and get them on the schedule. At which point, our insurance verification specialists verify their insurance, tell them what their out of pocket expenses will be, and we go from there. And so that well oiled system, it took us a little bit of time to get it, but we created that system because once you're marketing in a way that is bringing you as a therapist anywhere from 100 to 200 different people that are saying, hey, would you be my therapist every month? You can't afford to be wasting time on the phone. You can't afford that. If we were to pay for 2 or 3 full-time admin staff, that's what? Diluting the practice profit again. So we created a process. We use our social media for that as well. So like we have an automated system. If they call our virtual receptionist, that they automatically get a text message from us that says, hey, please click this link to register, so that by the time our person calls them back, they have already registered online, put in their insurance and credit card information, and started that process. So when we get them on the phone, it's just that much quicker. So you can create a system that helps you. And I'll be really honest with you, the cost for our virtual receptionist is so much lower than what it would cost for us to hire somebody even part-time. So it is a very beneficial process. And because of their system, the way that it's set up, it's almost like a call center. So they can get any number of people, but we have a script that they use, and there's like a if this then that, if this then that, and they follow right through that script. And we have not had any problems with it. I think we've had them for maybe 2 or 3 years. So like I said, it took us a little bit of time to get this system worked out, but once you've got the leads coming in, you've got people who are communicating with you, you're using your social media platforms, you are maybe doing a few little in-person things as well. You're using that 5-minute marketing system. So you're doing 2 to 3 5-minute marketing tasks every single day, right? You're getting the interest coming in. That's when you want to make sure you've got a system to take them from interest to client. And that system is what we use, right? And once they become a client, then you want to serve them really well. And as you're doing that, people will go out and talk about you. This is the part that most people talk about. They'll say like, well, if you just show up and do good work, your clients will love you. And then they'll, use word of mouth and refer you to other places. Yes, that's true, but you got to get them in the door first. So once you got them in the door, yeah, they will do that. They will refer you to other people. They will tell their friends, their family members. One of our clinicians was on a call with someone, and it was like a business call with someone else. And the person who was like the assistant of the person who was on the call was a former client. And she was like, I just couldn't hardly believe that I saw her, and it was such a great experience. But she told, the way that it ended up working up, it was a former client that told her boss how much she loved her therapist. Now they want us to pitch them a contract. So if you're looking to sign 10, 15, 30, $100,000 contracts with these corporations as a therapist, you can absolutely do that. You don't have to fight with the insurance companies over $37. You can go out and sign contracts where people will pay your full fee, where they will pay you $500 an hour or more to do what you do. And sometimes it's direct therapy and sometimes it's not. And just for the record, people aren't just hiring therapists to do mental health stuff. They're hiring therapists because therapists understand people. And not everybody who is skilled at sales, for example, or skilled at engineering understands people. So sometimes they will hire a therapist, not because you're going to come in and provide therapy, but because you understand people. So it's not at all uncommon for a therapist to be able to sign a contract with a corporation for exponentially more than their traditional hourly rate. But you've got to be in a position where people can find you. And all of that comes from how you are marketing yourself, how you are putting yourself out there. And the one of the complaints that I sometimes hear from therapists is that they don't have enough time, right? They don't have enough time, or that they don't want to get on camera, or that they don't know what to say when they get on camera. So I'm going to talk about those three things, and then I'm going to dip out and go have my dinner. So if you don't have enough time, well, if you don't have enough time, then you must have enough clients. If you're a therapist who tells me you want more clients, but then you're also telling me you don't have enough time, because if you're so full, then you don't need more clients. Okay? Maybe you're saying like, well, I'm full, but I want to fill up my other staff members. Well, then I want you having your other staff members learning how to do this process. Or I want you outsourcing to maybe some of those administrative tasks to other members of your staff. That's part of being a leader and a practice owner, okay? But I've given you in the 5-minute marketing system over 40 tasks that you can do as a therapist that's going to allow you to generate incoming leads to your practice, okay? And those incoming leads to your practice is going to allow you to have more opportunity to get in front of the right client. So not everybody that reaches out to your office is going to be a good client for you, but you have a greater opportunity because it's a numbers game, right? So if you're saying you don't have a lot of time, give me 5 minutes. My 5-minute marketing system, 5 minutes. Now, if you can string together 15 minutes throughout the course of the day and do 3 things over a 30-day period, I guarantee you'll get to increase your ability to get incoming leads. I guarantee you. If you're a therapist and you take 5 minutes over a 30-day period, you start doing 5 minutes a day, or doing 2 to 3 things a day is even better. You will begin to see more leads coming into your private practice. Okay, these are simple things. These are not complicated things. Something like this today, what I'm doing a live stream, right? And so what I will do when I get off this live stream is I'm going to upload this into my AI Clipper, and this one live stream will probably become about 40 different pieces of content. And then I will schedule those 40 pieces of content to go out on my social media. You can do the same thing about anxiety, the same thing about depression, the same thing about parenting. That's a big one right now. If you are a therapist who works with people who are parents, or works with people around supporting their children, those are topics that people are really interested in, because kids sometimes are struggling and they want to be able to support them in that. So what I would encourage you to do, if you say like, hey, I just need two more clients and I'll be full. I need 5 more clients and I'll be full. What I would encourage you to do is spend those 5 minutes, those 5 hours marketing for those clients. So every spot where you have a blank on your calendar, I want you to do something to intentionally bring in clients during that time. Pull out that 5-minute marketing system, choose your tasks that you're going to do, and strategically do those tasks during that time. Now, it's really important that you're not just sending out ships to anybody around. It's really important that you're making sure that you are talking to the person that you want to hire. So, the person that you want to hire you, right? So if you want a, working mother with 2 kids who's in a corporate job and is overwhelmed and stressed out because she's worried about being laid off, I want you to be talking directly to her. What problem does she have and how do you solve it? So if you don't have a lot of time, you don't need a lot of time. 5 minutes, if you can do it 2 or 3 times a day, perfect. So we're talking 15 minutes total, but 5 minutes will get you farther than none. I promise you that much. There's no exaggeration there. Okay. I sent out an email to my list today. I was talking about the fact that I took about an hour on Monday and set up my automations for one particular product that I wanted to kind of relaunch. And by Tuesday, I had a sale. Less than 24 hours. Now, is it going to always be like that? No. Sometimes it's going to take a little more time. But what you feed will grow, period. Chances are you think you're doing all the things for your practice, but what you're doing is what worked 5 to 7 years ago. you're not doing what's working in 2025. What's working in 2025 is these simple, repeatable marketing techniques that allow you to speak directly to your clients. If I need a client to see me 21 times, that's what the data currently says, 21 times. That in order for me to get somebody to buy my product or to sign with me as their clinician, they might need to see me 21 times. If you don't have 21 pieces of content out, it's no way that they can see you 21 times. So something like what we're doing today, spend an hour doing a live stream, clip that up into 30 or 40 different pieces of content, schedule it over the next 30 days, put it in a chat GPT, ask chat GPT to give me like, hey, give me some carousel ideas. Give me some blog post ideas. Perfect. Now I've got 21 pieces of content. Now all I'm doing is making sure that when I call that doctor's office and ask them, can I send them an email with some information about my practice, that I have something to send them, right? When I put that QR code up on my door of my office suite that says, get more information about our practice, I've got somewhere to send them. So those are the things that you want to do. So if you don't have enough time, I need 5 minutes. That's it. Just 5. Okay. If you don't want to get on camera, I'm not going to tell you have to get on camera, because that's the second thing that the therapist say is, I don't want to get on camera. I'm scared of going live. I'm scared to talk to the camera. So if that's you, okay, I definitely would encourage you to either have someone else record you or use some of the faceless options. There are some faceless options that will help you, right? So doing some, like you can definitely do still shots. You can definitely do stock photos, right? But I would encourage you to just try to do a few things so that you get more comfortable, right? Chances are you sit across from your clients and feel amazing talking to them every day. You don't worry about how you look. You don't worry about if your makeup is perfect or your hair is perfect. You just show up and be your best professional self. You're a therapist. You care about them doing well. I want you to stop seeing marketing your practice as you trying to be some sneaky, slimy car salesman and see it as you inviting people to come into your office and get the help that they need. And if you really think about it that way, it'll be so much easier for you to have a conversation, for you to say to them, hey, here's where I want to help you today. Hey, I hear you're having a problem sleeping. Let's talk about it. Something that's simple, right? I hear you're having a problem sleeping. Let's talk about it. Here's what happens with sleep. When you're not sleeping, you are more likely to have more mental health concerns, and your mental health concerns can impact your sleep. And so either way, it's a vicious cycle. Here's what I want you to be trying today. I want you to try these 3 things so that you can sleep better tonight. Those are the things that you're going to say, right? So I hear you're worried about coming into therapy. You're scared of coming into therapy. Here's what I would say to you. Just do it. Like whatever you want to say to the person, that's what I want you to do on camera. Sometimes we think that as a therapist, we have to be so particular that we're afraid to show up and be our authentic self. People want to see who you are. They want to know that you understand them. They want to hear that you're a real person. And your secret sauce is exactly what's going to draw people in to work with you over some random name on a directory list. So that quirkiness or, the extra 10 pounds of weight you're carrying or the little gray hairs or whatever you think, that may not be a hindrance. It might actually be the exact thing that causes them to say, I want you to be my therapist. And for the record, if you're uncomfortable with something, I want you to do the work. Go get it. If you're really uncomfortable with that thing, I want you to make the adjustment. The same way you would tell a client to do that, right? If you say, hey, I want to lose these 10 pounds, then I want you to start working out. If you say, I would really like to, have my hair be, then get your hair done. Don't let anything stop you from getting what it is you want. Okay? And so if you don't have a lot of time, I gave you the 5-minute solution. If you don't want to get on camera, I told you how to get on camera. And if you say, I don't know what to say, I think I touched on that a little bit. But basically what you're going to say is you're going to answer every question that a client might have when they would sit in a consultation. I want you to answer that. Right? I want you to answer that in video format. I want you to answer that in carousel format. I want you to answer that in a LinkedIn post format. I want you to answer that in blog format. And I want you to share everywhere you can. And I'm starting to use, I haven't done it a lot in the past, but I am starting to use Pinterest as well. I am seeing some traction there where we're getting a little bit more traffic to our website. So I am starting to use Pinterest as well. But anything that you can do to draw traffic to your website is going to help you get more clients. Okay. But so I want you to answer every question that they would ask you in a consultation. I want you to speak to every concern they have or every objection that they might have to starting in therapy. So, excuse me, let's say that you say, one objection is, I can't take off of work. Okay, well, I have extended hours. You make sure you say that. Maybe their concern is that they don't know if they can afford it. You talk about the insurances that you're on that in network with. You talk about your sliding scale. You talk about your payment plans or care credit. So you answer every objection. And then I want you to talk about the most important part is how they can expect to feel afterwards. So there's a lot of times people have fears about joining into therapy, and so they're kind of resistant to the process. But what you can actually do is start to relieve some of that anxiety by speaking to that anxiety. So I've done a little bit of that here with you today, right? So I'm telling you, I want you to grow your private practice. I want it to be as profitable as it can possibly be. I want you to get individual clients. I want you to get corporate clients. I want you to get, paid product clients. I want you to get all of that. That's what I've said. But I know that there might be some things that will hold you back on that. There might be some fears that you have about that. So I'm answering those for you right now. I'm telling you exactly how you can make time for it by using my 5-minute marketing system. I'm telling you exactly how you can get more comfortable on camera by practicing, right? Using the systems that we have and practicing with that. I'm showing you exactly how you can know what to say. So I am limiting your ability to have an objection. I'm decreasing and reducing the anxiety that you might have about this process. And I'm also building hope for what can happen on the other side. I'm telling you that it's probably been 6 or 7 years ago now, maybe not quite that long. Our practice had a webinar that we offered. It was all about trauma, right? We talked about how to upgrade your life by addressing your trauma, right? And that's a really common topic. People really were interested in it. We had, I'm gonna say it was a lunch and learn style. We probably had, I'm gonna say 25 people. It wasn't a huge number, but I'm gonna say like maybe 20, 25 people. And we at that time, our list was maybe 3 or 4 thousand. So it was a relatively small number, percentage of our email list. Okay. And so we had that webinar, 45 minutes. From that webinar, we have signed multiple $25,000 contracts because one person that was in that webinar worked at a company that hired us to come in and work for their company. So, the key to you having a thriving private practice that you're going to love, the key to that is you showing up, allowing yourself to be seen, and creating a marketing system that lets the people you want to help know that you're here, ready, and available to help them. Okay, so if you're new to private practice therapy and you're concerned about how you're going to generate the revenue, how you're going to fill your practice, how you're going to pay back them student loans, make sure that you're A, following me, that you B, grab my 5-minute marketing system, and that you C, commit to for the next 30 days doing at least one, but preferably three of these marketing tasks every single day so that you can begin to see your inquiries and your referrals increase and ultimately your profit be exactly what you want it to be. And if you want more support on how to make sure that all the systems, like I told you about those systems that we have that really allow us to maximize our profit and minimize our expenses, if you want more support on something like that, shoot me a DM because I can definitely work with you one on one to make sure that your practice is set up for that as well. Well, y'all, it was fun having this live stream. I haven't done a live stream in a long time, and I've not done a live stream where I'm doing it dual. So we'll see if your girl does it like this again. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm definitely having a good time doing it, and I would love to have you make sure that you're following me. If you are interested in being a profitable private practice owner, you've been a therapist, a coach, and you want to be maybe a consultant, a speaker, a teacher, a trainer, definitely want to support you on that. Make sure that you're following me. And if you have any other questions, shoot me a DM. I'm happy to help. I will see you guys next time.